DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Well, we touched on this. We touched on this morning in the headlines, but to take a little deeper dive here, if you missed it, Indiana just hired a new basketball coach, West Virginia's Darian DeVries, and he gets a 6-year deal. So West Virginia now needs a basketball coach. Now, if you're with us earlier this week, we had Scotty G on Monday morning to talk about the Aggies, and he was talking about them doubling down on their commitment to basketball, and Calhoun's getting his contract reworked after 1 year because it's been a great first year. And of course, he's getting his contract reworked in part because he did have a great first year, and they're in the NCAA tournament, which is obviously a big box to check on the way to having a good season. And they know that their coaches get poached, and they better take care of them. And so when Scotty said, oh, you got a new contract, he said, well, we've seen coaches leave. And he's like, oh, yeah, Craig Smith signed a contract at Utah State. And then like 6 weeks later, he's having a press conference at Utah because they have outs in their contract, and they're going to go. So it didn't really look at that moment when we were talking like there was going to be a job open. But, man, this job at West Virginia, this just has Jerrod Calhoun written all over it. He started his career at Cincinnati with Bob Huggins, and then he was a student assistant there, and he went off to an NAI school that was a really good school, and they won an NAI championship. He was there like 5 years, and then he rejoined Huggins at West Virginia, and he ran basketball operations for a year, got promoted to assistant coach. He was there 5 years. He was on campus. He had a chance to build relationships, get to know people, and he was there. Huggins did a lot of winning in West Virginia. So he leaves there because he wants to be a head coach, but he goes to a D2 school in West Virginia. And while he's there, they win 20 games every year. The last year they win 30 games, and they go to the Division II championship game. So, of course, everybody knows him. Everybody's following him. He's like, hey, this guy can coach. And then he goes off to Youngstown State, which is a football school, and they went D1 in 1981. And Jim Tressel was there and won like 4 national championships. And we all know him from Ohio State, but Youngstown State was, where he built his rep. And so it's a football school. They've been D1 for 40 years. They've never been to the NCAA basketball tournament. They've never been to any postseason tournament until Jerrod Calhoun shows up. And he takes them to the CBI and then to the NIT. They have 2 20-win seasons. They'd never had back-to-back 20-win seasons. I think they had 1 20-win season at that point, and then he had the second and third ones in consecutive years. The guy can coach. He elevated the program. He gets the USU job. Boom, they're red hot. Now, they haven't been red hot. Losing 3 of the last 5 hasn't been great. But the fact is, this guy has relationships, and he's won a lot, so they can put a new contract in him. I don't see how he isn't one of the 2 or 3 finalists for the job. Maybe he'll get the job. I don't know enough about West Virginia. But, man, for Utah State, the only thing I can see they have going for them, and Aggie fans, if you're just throwing up your hands like, here we go again. Well, not yet, but, possibly very soon, here we go again. You're right. The only thing I can see here is, when these coaches leave, do they win? Craig Smith went to Utah. He's already been let go. Danny Sprinkles only had 1 year at Washington. It didn't go well. How patient will they be? Maybe at some point, coaches will opt to stay because this is a really good situation at Utah State. And these other jobs, yes, they pay more, but they're hard, and you could be done in 3 or 4 years. I think just got enough money, they'd pull the ripcord and move on to the next coach. So the Aggies can do what they can do, and we've talked about this a million times, PK. Maybe they can hire someone with local ties, and that'll help. It's hard when someone's going to come in and offer you a 50% raise or 75 or 100%, whatever it turns out to be. It's hard to say no. It's frustrating for Aggie fans, but it does look like the program's built to succeed. The next good young coach ought to want the job because it's a springboard to Utah or Washington, and now we'll have to see how it plays out, but maybe West Virginia.
Well, why wouldn't you hire Craig Smith?
Hire him back?
Yeah, why not?
Get the band together again.
I mean, you're already talking. You already made the point where maybe you shouldn't go. Well, what better person to know that than Craig Smith?
Put him in the finalists. I don't know who else would be up for it, but I see your point. I do have a little, how much track record is there? Certainly we've seen it in football. I'm just not sure in basketball. When you bring a coach back the second time, it doesn't usually work in football. There are a few exceptions, but
this isn't football, so who gives a crap?
I missed you, PK.
What the hell do I care about football for if I'm talking basketball?
This isn't football. This isn't football. Who gives a crap?
Right.
See? I didn't have that. I didn't have that for the last few shows. I need that.
I get it. It's a tag team, and when you're gone, I didn't have what you bring too. That's why it works. Yeah,
Right.
I just as soon have you here, and I'm totally comfortable in acknowledging that. I got on the plane at 6 hours ago, and as I was walking down into coach past where you would sit, this lady must have been about 70. And I'm walking, she's sitting down, and she taps me as I'm walking by, and she says, "You're famous."
Even in the islands.
Yeah, baby.
And then when I sit down, we got the 2 seats, and then 3 seats, and then 2 seats, right? It's a big plane. And then the guy behind me, guy in front of me, excuse me, sitting right directly in front of me. We're in the 2-seater. And he says to my wife, "So, I listened to this guy. You're a school teacher, aren't you?" I said,
That's what she wants. Oh, my gosh. Happy anniversary.
so we all know.
Leave me alone. I'd just like to be anonymous and fly home right now and see my dog. I don't need to talk to anybody about my life. That's what your wife is thinking.
She was polite, and away
Of
you
course
go.
she was. There was never a doubt about that. That's a
No.
given.
We all got our roles, and the band, our band, is back together here. And so if Jerrod Calhoun wants to take off, so be it. See, I think you got a new athletic director, too, and so she's going to have to learn that sometimes what's best for the program isn't necessarily, this is going to sound weird,
What's
but
best for the program?
the best candidate. You got to
You're right,
look.
yeah.
You have to look towards some stability. The Aggie basketball program has been very, very fortunate to have multiple guys that have been able to succeed. What is this, the third or the fourth one since Stu retired?
It's the fifth.
It's the fifth one already? Wow.
They had one coach they had to let go.
Right.
They had one coach go to Utah. They had one coach go to VCU. They had one coach go to Washington. This is the fifth.
So, except for the immediate one, they've had success. And,
Yes.
This is why I am so done with, college basketball, the transfer portal. The transfer portal from the coaching staff or coaching positions have been the transfer portal going crazy all the time. I mean, West Virginia, oh my gosh, we're going to sue the government because they didn't get in. Well, the coach, man, yeah, it sucks for you. You didn't get in, but I'm out of here. And I'm taking my kid with me.
Hey, you sue him if you want. I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm over it. I got a 6-year deal at Indiana.
Right.
I don't know if I'll be there 6 years, but I'm going to get paid for 6.
Well, and I got to get going right away, so I got to start immediately. And, that's why maybe an Alex Jensen, hopefully it is an excellent hire because we all love Alex, but it means something to him. And he talked about how so many former players, and I've talked to many former players myself, and they have had contact. And this was last week. This wasn't this week. So before the announcement was official that, yes, they had conversations with Alex. And we had Josh Grant basically demanding that Alex would be hired, as if he's sort of not the godfather, but a godfather of the program. Speaking of Josh, he has a vested interest, and so you go in that direction. Utah State and Cebu here, she's going to have to figure it out. Now, we don't know that Calhoun is leaving. At least, I literally just got off a plane, unless I'm missing something.
No, we don't know he's leaving. The job just opened up.
Yeah.
He's a candidate. I think he's an excellent candidate. I don't want to recount his resume again, but I know our listeners.
I was taking notes here.
Except for a few hardcore ones they don't know. He checks so many boxes. He's an excellent candidate, and maybe they got somebody they like more, or maybe they won't offer him enough. Maybe he doesn't want to go in
I'd
there
bring
'cause
back
he thinks
Huggins.
he's
What
got
the heck?
trapdoor.
At least it's entertaining.
It is. Just have the Huggins cam and just watch him stomp up and down the sidelines, hollering at people, just random people.
And that's
players,
just at least you know what he's doing during the 2 hours of the game. That's not the problem.
You got that figured out. That part, you know. He's an excellent candidate. I don't know if he'll get it or not, but he just screams. He's got to be a finalist. He's absolutely got the resume for this job. So.
Well, I mean, it's the nature of the business, and who's out there that would guarantee that they would stay? Steve Bartle, our Ute insider, already reported that Utah was interested in Richard Pitino. The fact is, New Mexico is always going to be a stepping stone. So you're going to have to deal with it, particularly if you bring in an outsider. It most definitely is going to be a stepping stone. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. Urban Meyer was the ultimate to come in and fly-by-night dude and create automatic success. And they were fortunate enough that they had somebody in-house who wanted to be here and knows this is where he is. He's not looking for any other thing beyond what he already has. He's just simply looking to build that particular program into a really good program. And he did that for 20 years. And now we'll see what Scally does going forward. And it looks like Scally would have the same vested interest in staying here. I was playing Bonneville a couple of years ago, and on the 10th hole, there's a baseball field immediately to the south, and I'm walking up. It's in the spring, and it's opening day in the Little League, so they're announcing the kids, and they go, "Now batting, Bud Scally." So I get Morgan on a blower, and I say, "Morgan, Bud Scally?" He says, "Yeah, that's his grandfather was his name, and his brother's son." So the point I'm making is Scally's got massive roots here. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work out for him as a coach. Hopefully it does, because as much as we like Alex, we like Scally too, and you've got somebody local. I think that's the thing, is that you have to figure out what you want in the immediacy, and is there somebody who can fit the bill with the roots? Because you simply can't give it to someone because that person has roots. It's got to be someone who can keep the standard going, and the standard going for the Utah State basketball program now is a phenomenal home record and some good road wins, and to be getting into late February contending, which will now go forward after next year, the Pac-12, and then the opportunity to go, not just go, but win in the NCAAs, right? That's the standard. Sprinkle won last year. They beat TCU, and I think that they were, an 8 or a 9 seed, and then they ran into Purdue as a 1 seed, which is always difficult from that perspective in the round of 32. But that's the standard. Is there somebody who can fill that, who may have a vested interest in the community, like Stu Morrill did too? I mean, his family was from the state. I think his mother lived in Provo, right? And so she was getting older, so that meant something to him. Interestingly, when he retired, he's gone back to Fort Collins, a beautiful community, but he wanted to be here.
Right.
Yeah.
But he was here for about 15 years.
And that's long enough, obviously.
Obviously, right? But see, I think it comes back to, do you have an athletic director who is local who understands it?
Well, I think she can get to understand that, but I also believe right now this basketball program for the Utah State has never been more attractive.
Fact. All these coaches coming through, they're going to the NCAA tournament. This is their 6th bid in 7 years. And you can go to the NCAA tournament and you can get a job. It's not just a stepping stone. It's like a hot spot. You can win immediately, and you can get a new job immediately. Sprinkle literally got it in 1 year. If it happens now, if West Virginia makes the move here, it will have happened twice. And every coach knows that. They all know that. There are no secrets about this stuff. They all know. So I think to your question is, there doesn't appear to be a local candidate. There was, and it was Spencer Nelson, who we had on the show yesterday. And he was on Tim Duryea's staff. He's a former player. He played his high school basketball in Utah. He's a former Aggie player. He's an assistant coach. You can see the career arc. You can see the progression. But he gets caught up when that staff turnover. Now, sometimes they retain somebody, and he could have, but it didn't work out. And so now he's got another career, and I don't think he'd go back into it. So it's like there was a guy, and the moment was there, but the moment, at least for him, seems to have passed. Maybe he'll change his mind. I don't think he will.
But I would be
Not
serious
recently.
about Craig Smith, man.
I see why you bring that up. I can see why he should be a finalist right away. I don't know who else she knows and would want to bring out for 1 year. I get your point about Craig.
Yeah, the guy's a
Get your point
winner.
back.
I mean, it got caught up in the Utah thing, but I'm not really concerned about that. What was it? Missouri just hired the women's Harper, who got fired by Tennessee, and she was out a year, and then gets an SEC job after 24 months ago, or 12 months ago, I should say, gets fired by Tennessee. So that doesn't really bother me. And that's because Bronco made a statement one time. He said, if I didn't hire people who got fired, I wouldn't be able to fill out a staff. Yeah.
Yep.
So let's see what
That's the way the
happens. But I
profession
still
works.
think Utah State is they've never been in as good a position. So it would be a bummer. I get it, but I'm not that worried about it. Because you know what's important is you had some kids who could have taken off and they didn't because they liked it at Utah State. Go be big man on campus. Go play before virtual sellouts and great student sections every single home game. That matters to kids.
It's fun.
The atmosphere is phenomenal. We know that, right? And so why wouldn't you want that? What more does Falslev need? Does he need to go to a bigger place? Well, I don't know, man. Let's see. You got 2 players from your program who are right now in the NBA, if that's your goal. So clearly you can get there from Logan. That's a fact, right? And so you look at it, and it's in a great position to be able to continue success no matter who is there. I really believe that.
All right, we'll see how this plays out. We'll see what West Virginia decides to do. Jerrod Calhoun, though, is obviously an excellent candidate. Whether that leads to a job, time will tell. It leads us to a commercial break. More in a moment. 8 o'clock hour, Tim Lacomb's coming up. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, The Zone.